Hi there, welcome to Naija Graphics Droid. Today you're going to be learning how to use SoThink Logo Maker Professional from A to Z. So before we start, I'll encourage you to watch this video in HD format. Just click on the gear icon on this video, then select 70/20. That's 720p resolution. Let's start off. From my experience with this software, I've discovered that it can do 70 to 90% of what Illustrator or CorelDRAW can do. It all depends on your creativity and ingenuity. One of the things this software cannot do, however, is textures. Unlike Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator, and CorelDRAW, I don't think you can create textures with this software because there are no texture banks that you can use. But you can import textures as images to use as background images for your designs. Maybe this video would make the creators of this awesome software take note of that. There are one or two other minor things here and there for which SoThink is lacking, but who cares? What SoThink is an awesome miracle software that can have anyone interested in graphics design to become a pro or guru in 1 or 2 days. Let me use an analogy of the blogging world. Google's blogger platform, formerly called Blogspot, is the easiest platform for an absolute beginner in the blogosphere. However, after a year or so of knowing how a blog works, one may want to move to WordPress, which is the industry standard, because it has all these cool other features and privileges that Blogspot lacks. So SoThink Logo Maker Professional is the Blogspot of the graphics design world. And just as you would learn how to become a blogger under 2 minutes with Blogspot, you can learn how to become a graphics designer under 2 days with SoThink. Then when you become grounded in it, you may decide to move over or to combine Adobe Illustrator and or CorelDRAW, which are the industry standard tools for graphics design. One of the most important things I love about this software is how freaking easy it is to use. The layout is so simple to understand. You've got your normal tools that you would see in Adobe Illustrator or CorelDRAW, your pencil tool, brush tool, pen tool, tailor tool, line, circle, rectangle, rounded rectangle, polygon, star shapes, your zoom function, text tool. You choose your font here and font size, the spacing of your text, bold function, italics function. Over here we have layout, import, export, configuration, and help. Over here at the left we have an amazing effects bar. This is where almost all the magic happens. And in Illustrator and CorelDRAW we also have effects. Like this one right here is a gradient effect. one of my favorite effects to add to design. So you can see how easy it's laid out. Sometimes I will get confused when viewing this software from afar because it looks like Microsoft Office Word. It's just so simple. I cannot stress how simple this software is. I cannot stress it enough. Okay. You see this wide area? It's our canvas or workspace, and I will talk about that in a moment. So, about our canvas or workspace, it is the active area where all designs or work is effectively saved when exported. All these other non-white spaces or areas by the left and right, even up and down, will not show when you export your final or finished design. Let me zoom it down so you see the active workspace. So this is your active workspace or canvas, and you can change the size or dimension to fit whatever purpose it is you want. So just for an example, let's draw a circle, and I'll deliberately put part of the circle outside of the canvas. Let's go ahead and save or export this image. You go to export and click on export image. You can see in the preview window it already shows you how it's going to look like when you finish exporting. So let me select JPEG. Go ahead and export. I want to save it on my desktop and in a particular folder. Yeah. So that when I go to that folder and open up my saved work, you see, this is what you're going to get. Hope you understand the meaning of canvas or work area by this. So close this, right click on this image, delete it. Yeah, back to our discussion. So this is our active workspace. Make sure all of your needed designs are within this area and properly centralized so that you have an amazing professional finishing to your work. You can actually, let me take this back to 100%. You can actually resize or change the dimensions of this canvas by going to configuration. When you click on configuration, these are the settings to readjust the sizes. This is the length, I think, and this is the breadth, or yeah, so you just go ahead and change them individually. You see, as I scroll up, changing these values, the canvas or work area is also changing. Same thing here, you can also increase this. You might not see it because it's off the screen, but let me go the other way by reducing it. So See, you have like a rectangular banner type of thing going there. So in effect, when you have a work to do, let's say a banner, a logo, a favicon. If you don't know what a favicon is, it's that tiny box that shows up in your browser showing the icon of a website. It's like your branding for a website or a blog. For example, since the CNN logo is the typography CNN in red, you're going to see the favicon accompany their website. Whenever you're browsing their site, it's going to show up in your browser to identify or tell you that you're on CNN. So that's just the meaning of favicon. Yeah. So for example, for a favicon, it's usually a tiny image of 16 by 16 pixels or 32 by 32 pixels, depending on your choice. So if you go ahead and register that, you get your favicon. So this is your favicon right here, the dimensions. So you can zoom it when you're working to design what will be inside. You can zoom it to help you. Let me show you what I mean. CNN. This is just a rough design. This is not actually how the CNN logo or typography looks. I'm just trying to show you how you can effectively resize the area of your canvas or workspace to suit the purpose of the design. So by default, it is 550 pixels by 400 pixels. That's the default dimension for our workspace area, and it's good. It's a generally good size for your logo designs. Obviously, if you want a larger size for maybe banner, you can go ahead and choose higher values. So when you choose higher values, you can't see the borders of your canvas because it's too large, so you have to zoom down. So I chose 2280 by 880. So let's assume that we're going to work with this. This is what we're going to get. So you should effectively use the zoom function to bring your work area or workspace to a point where you can clearly see and work with it comfortably. Then when you're done and you want to export your image, you can go back to 100% before exporting your image or exporting it through the menu bar. So that's all about your canvas or workspace area. SoThink is very great in that you have an awesome resources bank here. Over the right is labeled resources, where you come and click on the header. You have all these cool categories of graphics you can add to your work depending on the niche. For example, wines and brewing, you have all these cool graphics. So if I wanted to design a logo and I needed a glass, I just choose the glass I wanted, say this one. I'll click on it, I'll hold the left mouse button as I drag it. So that's how you do it. Then we have travel, awesome templates, awesome. We have transportation, sports, security, science and networking, data, nature, pattern, healthcare and physician. Just check them out yourself. Check them out. There are cool graphics you can add free of charge to your designs. And let's say you want to choose another different, you want to drag another different resource from here, and you no longer need this one. So instead of clicking and deleting it, you can just click it and come over here. As you drag or hover above each of these, it will be changing in the canvas, so that when you finally choose what you want, then you can work with that. You understand? Alright, that's all about the resources. Check them out yourself. About colors in SoThink, I'll just drag on an object here. Then I'll also add text. I just want to use these two elements to show you how colors in SoThink work. So as you have noticed, whenever you drag on an object to your canvas, the default color is normally blue, while that of text is black. But you can change these colors, for example, and this is where you have your colors here. This circle, this is where all the colors are, and this is how you change the scheme of your colors. So You see this first box here? It's the primary colors. It's the basic colors. Yeah, you can call it like the basic color wheel. Well, these other ones will give you some colors that are not in the normal basic color wheel. For example, let's start with this basic color wheel here that has your normal colors you can identify: red, yellow, green, blue, and purple. Let's say you wanted to apply you wanted to apply green to this object, and you click on it. Just go to this area of green and tap on it. Then you can choose what degree of green you want. Let's say we go with this one. You can actually still come around here and reduce the intensity of the green. Another thing is then let's go for the text. You click on it, and for this one, let's just use one of these other complicated colors. You can actually rotate all these anchors to form different color combinations. So let's say I want to give this color. That's how you manipulate colors in SoThink. You can see that these other color wheels can be manipulated by changing their anchor points. As you rotate, you see cool colors you could apply. Then when you spot them, you stop and sample off the colors. So that's how colors work in SoThink. I hope it was helpful. Okay, now about the ready-made templates that come with the SoThink Logo Maker. I actually closed the application. Let me try opening it again. So when you double click on the application and it opens up, usually by default you are going to have this template window that opens up. If you don't want this template window to show up next time, just come here where it says show this window as startup and turn it off, so that if you close the application and try to open it again, it just opens up without that template window. Okay, so let's actually open it back up and bring back our templates. For absolute beginners, I won't advise you to turn off this template window, because these ready-made templates are awesome. In fact, you should start learning how to use these templates. Start tearing them apart and putting them back together again, or tearing them apart so that you would see and notice the way they were created. Like, I actually learned how to create badges by tearing some template badges apart and seeing the different layers that made up a badge. So back to the template window, we have our business category. Under business category, we have all of these cool templates for you to choose from. So let's assume that you are going to design a business logo for a client or for yourself. You can come and find a suitable one here. Let's say this one. You click on it and it opens up in your canvas for you to customize. Let's say your client has a film school or anything related to movies or directorial work. You can come here, you double click on the text. When you double click, remember, always double click on text if you want to edit it. Then you backspace, click your backspace, and whatever you type here is going to be the same font as what the template had for that particular text. So you go ahead and type whatever the business name is for the new design. So let me just assume any random name like TV Goshen. I know it actually doesn't make any sense, it's just because of this tutorial I decided to give it any name. So what I did just now is that this exclamation mark was getting in the way because what I typed now is too long, so I'm just taking exclamation mark to the end. Just click and drag. It's very easy. Everything about this software is very easy. You don't need me to reiterate. So you can also double click and here and customize to your tastes or to the requirements. If you notice, it's actually not centralized. The space here is greater than the space over here. So let me introduce you to the concept of snapping your objects to edges, snapping to grid, and snapping to center. So if let's assume you're on your normal home, you just go over to configuration again and you have snap to grid, snap to edge, and snap to center. If you turn each of them on, that's all of them on, by just tapping or single clicking on it, they'll be active, so that when you click any object or text in your work area, you see all these restrictive lines that help you automatically centralize your work. So I'm just trying to centralize everything. I don't always like using these snap to center, snap to edge, and snap to grid because sometimes they are too restrictive. For example, I might want to take this text to a particular place or bring it down to a particular level, but it keeps snapping to the predetermined grids or sections that is determined by the software itself. So in such cases, I'll prefer to turn them off. There will be situations where you would like or have to turn them on to make work easier, but I've noticed that all my designs, I don't quite need them at all, so I'll just do my centralization visually and with my instincts and calculative ability. So I'm trying to centralize the work. The template had the academy by the left. You can actually take it to the center if you want, but let me just leave it as the template had it. Mama knows best. Mama knows best. So something like this. Let's go back to the templates. So I'll keep educating you about this template. So we just did something with the business logo templates. Let's go over to technology. Just single click on technology. You have all these cool professional looking technology themed templates for you to choose and manipulate and rebrand. So I just typed this off the top of my head, just for you to see how you can customize stuff. And if you don't want to go with this symbol, maybe you feel other people that have SoThink must have used it and it's going to cause problems for your clients, you can actually come here over to let me see, shape assembled. You click on any of these, and as you scroll, whatever I have here will take effect in the canvas. We're just trying to make this a little different from what we had before. You get the point. Just play around with stuff, customize stuff, and come up with new stuff. Let's go back to our templates. Yep. Over to organization, you have all this cool stuff. Over to fashion, you have all this cool stuff. Leather base, you have all this cool stuff. Actually like this. I'm in love with this design, and let's go ahead and edit this. We'll edit this design. Let's assume that you don't want to use this. What you can actually do is that you can break the design apart. See, I click, drag, click and drag, click and drag. Whenever you click a shape or text, you have this line and this dot or circle. You see, when you hover above it, you have a rotating angle with arrows. It means you can use that anchor to rotate your object, like so. Just hold down your left click mouse button and rotate to your field. For example, this little piece here, let's say you want to delete it, maybe you don't have a use for it. If it's effectively selected, you can right click and go to delete. Same with this one, same with any other thing you want to delete. So at the end of the day, we have all these pieces. You can just play around with it however you want to. So you see, from the initial template we had something like a P sign, but now we have broken it down, customized it to something more abstract. These might not be the best designs. I'm just using it to show you hastily as I progress along with this tutorial. So you get the point. Do your thing, be creative, go wide. So that's how you have it. Under badges in festival, you have cool templates. Let's go with let's try something with badges. I just really want you to choose stuff and play around with them. For example, when I wanted to design my first badge for a client, didn't know how to even start, didn't know how badges were constructed. I just came over here with this same exact one you see here, and I tore it apart. When I started tearing it apart, I just discovered that badges are just individual shapes heaped on top of each other or one another to form layers. So you have a white foreground layer, and the one in the middle is blue, and one at the back is another different color, all of them coming together to form your badge. And you have a ribbon at the back, and you can get this ribbon by going to frames and badges, and you scroll to the end, and you'll have different ribbons to use. So I hope this part of the tutorial was helpful in helping you to go crazy with your editing and customization and form new different logos. Here are some designs I've done for some clients. Now most of these I did from scratch, and some few of them I use some templates provided by SoThink and customize it further. So you can see the capability of this software. It can produce really professional logos and graphics work. As you get more and more proficient in it, you will see how easy it is to achieve great things with this software. About the effects panel, let's do a little bit of that. I want to drag on an element or a shape into the canvas and show you how to apply effects. Let's say you are designing a logo and you want to add effects. After drawing or dragging on an element or a shape, you click on it, move over to effects. Let's start from gradients effects. Remember I said it's my coolest effect to add to graphics. Just come here and scroll to see different ways you could beautify your design. I always love to use this center gradient effect. Kind of gives the shape a more solid effect. You can see the difference when I turn the effect off and come back to it. You see that it looks more like a solid. So that's one effect you can add to your graphics. You can add a shadow or reflection, reduce the intensities, and when you eventually select any of them, then move over here and further customize or change the values of the variables. Could come here and add some glow effect. See that? Or you could come here and add 3D effect to your graphics. Remember, any of the effects you choose, you can always, after selecting it, come here and change the variables. And finally, we have this effect. Just be creative with it and you will find your favorite effects to use and the ones that would match a particular design. So that's that about how to add effects. When you have different shapes or objects or texts, let's say 3 or 4 of them, for example, one, I added text as the other. This is 2. I'll add another object or shape. I'm not trying to design a logo or anything. I'm just bringing together 3 random elements to show you how layering works. So I'm going to give them different colors so that you can see how they stack up on each other, on one another. So, and let me zoom down a bit to 80 so that I can see the entire borders of the canvas. Let me add a border to this design by clicking on the rectangle tool and coming here to draw out the rectangle. You can see that immediately I did that. Let me give that a different color, say green, light green. The rectangle covered or overshadowed every other element. So whenever you're adding a background to your design like this, you can right click on it and send it back. Sending it back is different from sending it backward. Sending it back will take it as the farthest background element, so that these other three elements are more forward than the green background I just sent. Please excuse the color rioting going on right here. I'm just doing this to show you how layering works. So let's increase this guy a little bit. You can see that the swag is in front of this guy, which is good, and that's what we want. So let's say that we want to, you can now send this bag of money. Let's say we want to send this bag of money behind the swag or behind the guy. So you right click on the bag of money and go to arrange. We are going to, if we click on send back, it will take it as the farthest element backward, but we don't want that because we want the background to be the farthest element. So instead we say send backward. It will take that element you're sending back one step at a time. So we want it to be behind the guy, so we'll still go to arrange and send backward again. You can notice that that's taking it behind the guy. And let me use the opportunity to introduce concept of transparency. Let's say that we want this bag of money to be faint or transparent, so we're going to introduce transparency to it. That's when you click on that element you want to introduce some little bit of transparency to. Then you move this slider. You see this slider right here, just move it, and as you move it, then click on the color to see how the whole thing turns out. If you need more transparency, obviously keep sliding upwards. So by default, this transparency slash opacity is at 100%. That is, the opacity is at 100%. So you are the one to move the slider when you need transparency. And it's important that you add a little bit of transparency, no matter how little. It's important you add a little bit of transparency to your work, because when things are too dark, they tend to hurt the eyes a little bit. So I just turned this guy to a black color sort of, so, and it's too dark, so I'll just come and reduce the transparency. Even though it's to 90 or 89, it's going to work better. And most times transparency on its own is an effect and makes work more beautiful. Yeah, so that's that about layering. Learn how to use layering and transparency effectively. So for this bag of money that you see here, assuming you want to take it to the front, you follow the same principle. If you click on bring to front, it will bring it to the front as a furthermost element on the stack of layers. But if you click on bring forward, it will do that one step at a time. So for example, click on bring to front, it brings it as a furthermost element. So back to our tools. Well, the pencil tool, obviously you can use it to draw free hand rough sketches of objects. So you click on it and draw what you want to draw. Pencil tool is good for very rough or abstract drawings. Now for a more refined drawing, I'd advise you to use pen tool, because that is one of the most powerful tools in graphics design in general. In Adobe Illustrator and CorelDRAW, the pen tool is one of the most important tools. Likewise in SoThink, that's why I said it's the most important tool in graphics design in general, because with the pen tool you can do anything in this world. So the way you use the pen tool is it utilizes anchor points. So when you click, you drop one anchor point, you go somewhere else and drop the other one. And if you want to form a curve, make sure you don't release your hand from the left mouse button. Then you can manipulate the curve of it. So, but if you want to form a straight line, once you click, you release the left mouse button. You understand? And if you want to form a curve again, you click and hold while you adjust the length of this line that controls the curve. So you can see that with this tool you can draw a car, you can draw a human being, you can do anything you want to do. When you go back to the starting point, the first anchor point, it closes the shape, and you can go ahead and remove the outline or the stroke, border stroke, and maybe change the color to the one you want. Go over add effects, you see. Great stuff, really great stuff. I'm going to draw the Twitter icon for you so you could see how powerful this tool is. So I'll go ahead and import the image I want to draw. Import image from my desktop. I'll go ahead and zoom it up. So it's always good to zoom up images. You can see this is a bitmap image, or a raster image, because when you zoom it loses quality and resolution. But when we trace this, what I want to do right now, I want to use a pen tool to trace this work, and you'll notice it will have more sharper edges, because SoThink is a vector software, and vector designs have sharp edges, and even when they are scaled up they maintain resolution. Let's get sketching, or let's get tracing. You click on the pen tool, you drop my first anchor point here, my second anchor point here, and I see that. Come over here and drop another one and adjust. Now, another thing to note about the pen tool is that it's one of the most rated tools by beginners in graphics design all over the world. Newbies to graphic design dread this tool and fear it, and they should. It's a very powerful tool, but keep practicing with this tool, and when you get the hang of it, you will notice that it's one of the easiest tools to use. and get fast and quick results. You can go a little at a time for really curvaceous curves. Yeah. Keep practicing with this tool. I really advise you to practice. Practice makes perfect. Yep. It's like a straight line. So I click on release. And here, click and hold, form a curve. Here, click and hold, form a curve. So see, I remove the stroke. I can go ahead and delete this image at the background, which I traced off of. If I want to form my own button, come here and rounded rectangle and then choose this. I'll form the button shape and remove the stroke or border path. Then you see it's blocking the bird I just drew, Twitter bird. I can now send this button or background to back. You right click on it and go to arrange. You send it backward. You send it to back. Oh, the same colors. No wonder. It actually worked. So you sent that one to back, and let's give this a blue color. Give that a very nice blue color. Then we'll give the bird a white color. Add a glow effect to it if you want. Go ahead and reduce the strength so it doesn't hurt the eyes of the viewer. I want to tell you a little bit about fonts. Obviously this is where you come to choose fonts to use. So let's type out something. Ha 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 ha. That is funny. We literally typed out something. You could come here and choose the style of your font. So what you should know about font is that by default you have your normal system installed fonts by the manufacturers or the ones that come with your computer, but you could always go to download and install third-party fonts that are more professional, more beautiful, more calligraphic, like this one. The site where I go to download fonts is www.thefont.com. That is www.thefont.com. When you go to this website, you will discover loads and loads and loads and loads of fonts in different categories and styles and niches for you to download and install mostly for free, but be careful and make sure to read their terms of use so that you would know which ones are for personal use and commercial use, and which other ones you need to request for permission to use, so you don't land in any legal trouble. So head over to thefont.com and go wild. Stick around to this channel. I'll advise you to subscribe already so that you will learn my subsequent video on how to download and install fonts on your system. So that's all about that. And another thing I want to show you about font is a cool tool in SoThink and other graphic design software where you can convert font into shapes or objects. So when you click on the font, you now right click on it, then come to text to shape, you click it. Automatically it means that you have converted the font. It's no longer a font, they're individual shapes now, of which you can now further manipulate to your taste. Or you can elongate it further for whatever effect you want. You can even draw some, like when I click on this H, I go to subselect so that it shows me all the anchor points that constitute that font. Then I zoom in. When I zoom in, I can even come and further customize the font to my taste. So you can do that. So even when you have a font that is copyright and you're not allowed to use it, you can actually convert it to shape and overhaul it so that it's something entirely different from what the copyright owner might claim that you stole his design. The author of the font won't have a say anymore, and it's legal. I've seen people do it all over YouTube in their tutorials, and you can use it to design t-shirts. You can take simple fonts and turn them into rockstar fonts for t-shirt design. Just go wild with this. I want to design a badge so you can see the way to go about it and try it for yourself. Click that. I just chose the circle tool and I'm using the form a shape. You can actually form a more rounded shape or like an ellipse. I prefer using an ellipse for badges. So you go ahead and remove the border or stroke, and this will be our background layer. So you choose a suitable color for that. Let's say blue. And I often like adding effects to the layers of my badge or emblem. Go ahead, I just clicked on it. I'll duplicate. Remember when I said banners, badges are nothing more than just layers stacked on top of each other. I just duplicated that and I'm going to shrink it a little bit, and if you notice too, I changed the color so that I won't get camouflage. I gave this inner ellipse a different color so I can see clearly. Yeah. Then I'll continue, I click on this again and right click, duplicate it and reduce the size. Then I will give it a different color so I'll see what is happening. I can give this middle layer a fine effect if I want. I usually like giving it this vertical gradient effect. I'm eventually going to select different and my final colors. I'm just doing it one step at a time. So depending on the number of concentric circles or ellipses you want to create, just go ahead. It's all in your head. Depends on your creativity and what you would want to achieve with your design. You might want to make this one a lot smaller. If you notice, I'm not using the snap to edges or snap to center settings. I'm centralizing all these through sight, and it's not hard. If you have a good eye, you could do your centralization yourself, and that's what I love doing. So you can go ahead now and start selecting complementary colors that won't form an overall color riot of your design. I'm going to keep this outermost blue. I'm obviously going to make this part white. Then I can make the innermost one a more dreamy blue. What I did there was the white was too shouty. I just toned it down a little bit by applying transparency and changing the degree of the white. Remember I said that hard colors can hurt the eyes or become displeasing to the viewer, and we don't want that. So you can go ahead now and type your text. For example, I'm going to type Powertron. When you type your text, it's a good practice to choose the font you want to work with before you apply the bending effect to the text. Obviously your own text could be anything. I just decided to type Powertron because that's the name of the association of my department at the University of Nigeria. So you have selected the text and the font you want to use, and it's actively selected right here, and you go to this effects panel. When I showed you all these effects, I remember showing you each and every one of them and purposefully excluded this one because this effect only works with text. It doesn't work with objects or shapes. Now that we're working with text, you can come here and select any effect you want depending on what you're trying to achieve. But in this case, we're going to choose this bending effect, and yeah, we chose it. And if it were to bend upwards, you just come here and click on reverse, but in this case we want it to bend downwards, so we'll leave it at default and we'll start messing with the settings. It's on 20 by default. We'll start increasing it, and while we're increasing it, we'll be looking to see whether it's properly fitting, and you can see we still need it to bend a little more. Come back here and continue playing with the setting, and obviously we've just overdone it now, so we take it down a notch, a little more. Yeah, I think we could work with this. So ultimately, the purpose of this section of this tutorial is just to show you how to apply the bending effect to your badges, and I don't want this video to linger on for long. I'm just going to show you the finished product of the badge I designed, the complete badge I designed. So this is the finished design of the badge I was trying to create earlier. This is what it looks like.